Welcome to Roseilience, where we amplify the voices of those turning adversity into opportunity one petal at a time. I'm Kiah Arnold, your creative and storytelling host. On Roseilience, you will hear the stories of those who started with thorny situations but are working tirelessly to bloom the best possible outcomes. We are in the second phase of Season 1. For 22 weeks, guests shared their journeys, grit, and the steps that they have taken to rise above. We are bringing them back to give us updates to see what is blooming and where they will grow from here. Today, our guests are husband and wife duo Warren and Renee Cobb. Renee is a keynote speaker, consultant, board member, and executive producer dedicated to creating spaces where artists and audiences can thrive together. As a leader with Listen Locally and Room 17 Productions, Renee has made her mark through music, storytelling, and transformational conversations, including her award-winning shows Overtones Live and Gray Matters. Warren is a singer, songwriter, and executive producer with a background in music, performance, talent development, and radio production. Together, they've built platforms that amplify diverse voices and local talent, blending live performance, documentary storytelling, and radio with shared commitment to authenticity, equity, and artistry. Warren and Renee, welcome back. So glad to have you all back on Roseilience.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yes. And for those just tuning in, we always start with the reading of The Rose That Grew from Concrete by Tupac. The show title, Roseilience, is comprised of two words, rose, like the rose that grew from concrete, and resilience, which is the capacity to withstand or to recover from difficulties. Did you hear about the rose that grew from a crack in the concrete? Proving nature's law is wrong. It learned to walk without having feet. Funny it seems, but by keeping its dreams, it learned to breathe fresh air. Long live the rose that grew from concrete when no one else ever cared. So the last time that you all were on the show, Renee, you talked about how your entire journey, personally and professionally, reflected a rose growing through the crack in the concrete. Excuse me. You named the importance of finally being able to identify where the crack was, acknowledge it, and then intentionally choose to bloom through it. And Warren, you shared that for you, the poem spoke to timing, being in the right place at the right time, and the importance of recognizing opportunities when they present themselves. So as you all look at where you are today, how do you see that rose or your own growth now?
I point to him first.
Of course, she's going to throw it to me. Wow. Well, I don't know that all that much has changed since the last time we were here. We're still doing our shows, still recording in a couple of different live venues and still bringing musicians together that have never met each other or performed together. And
yeah, and I would just say that while all those things are present, that we are still breaking through that concrete almost at every turn. Mm-hmm. It's just in different ways. And I do think there is the importance in the word resilience, which is the last part of your podcast, in that it's real easy to just give up and just say, okay, let's just go in a different direction. But you have to have that resilience to really push through. I personally feel like we've had to push through a few things in the last few months, and a lot of them are related to my career change and the changing dynamics of my career is what I should say. So that's opening the door for the need for a lot more resilience, I would say, in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all both for sharing that. And as you mentioned, you've had some life changes, both personally and professionally. So what part of your work or life feels the most alive in this season?
I guess I'll go first. I will say the joy in continuing the work that we're doing with local music and really encouraging people to look past Kentucky for some of those opportunities. I will say the last few months since we did your show last have involved the series of shows that we've done on Overtones Live called Working in Concert, but they've been Josie Music Awards preview shows. Mm-hmm. And this last season, we experienced here at Medialex about 250 nominations collectively with artists that have been on shows at Medialex, which has been it's paid great homage, I think, to the work that all of us have done here at Medialex, but also to the work that all of our local talent has done in risking or just kind of going to the next level and really believing in themselves to submit their work to something like the Josie Music Awards, where we could see, 15 Kentuckians actually on that stage that evening. So that's one of the things that I feel has been a really bright spot of the work that we've done.
I have nothing to add to that.
I was expecting you to say ditto.
Yeah,
I could have.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the Josies, you all just continue to rack up all kinds of awards for Overtones Live. And recently, you all gained another Josie for Best Podcast and Music Radio Show. So congratulations.
Thank you.
But also, not too long ago, you all decided to retire from the Lexington Music Awards. So what's blooming in you as you celebrate and also release at the same time?
Great question. Sounds like you need to answer that one.
Well, I just think that at some point, you got to give somebody else a chance, I mean, for some reason, every time we've gone down there, we've won something. And it's been awesome to have that. But, there are other radio shows and other radio show hosts and other, endeavors that need to be recognized. And so I think our bowing out is an effort to make that happen,
And it's timely, but it's also productive in the way that our work continues with growing others personally and professionally in the growth that happens. I'll just say specific. I think you're talking specific to the Lexington Music Awards. We have won something, and mainly in the music business categories, for the last 6 years. And last year with the Lifetime Achievement Honors that we received, I just feel that's a time that, honestly, my personal belief is that somebody wins something like 3 times in the same category, it should be retired. And I think that you've seen that honored with Ben Lacey Guitar Award. You got the T.D. Young Blues Award. I would like to see that type of thing continue. But what's exciting for us is to see all of this, I guess, growth that we've kind of planted under the ground for a number of years. And we can't have those awards without everybody that's been on our show and working in concert with us to now watch them bloom. And I will say there's a reason we get those front row seats, and it has nothing to do with the fact that we just want to sit in the front row, but it is our greatest joy to see up close and personal what happens on a stage like the Grand Ole Opry or like the UK Singletary Center. And what happens with people getting up there and experiencing that, many for the first time.
Yeah. And I love that you talked about these seeds that you've been cultivating with other people. And what new seeds are you tending right now, even if they are still quiet or unseen?
Well, one idea that we've talked about that I really want to explore in 2026 is getting back to our passion for oral history and to take that down a musical path. We've done that in the past, and we had 5 projects going at the same time before COVID. Oh, wow. And, it's just like you get a lot of momentum going with these projects. We had one with the UK cheerleaders where we're trying to track success indicators and factors that come from investing your time early in life in cheerleading, because it's not always what people think that it is. It's more than just, raising your pom-pom and, leading a crowd. But what we did experience through these interviews is that many of these women specifically are very successful. And, in our times, there was a lot of, I would just say, bias around cheerleading. It was usually related to the blonde hair and some kind of intellectual factor related to that. So we were really happy through these interviews to really prove all of that wrong. and to really talk about what does success look like for a team that wins 24 national championships. That was just one. And then the others were with the UK School of Music for some of our professors that we really felt shaped and molded the way that we've carried on our lives and our careers. And we would like to get back to that and really unpack and explore Lexington in the 70s and 80s and the music scenes that were around, because a lot of those musicians are still with us, thankfully, but they're in their 70s and they're in their 80s right now themselves. And we've heard so many stories just by interviewing them on our show or just being out somewhere and just asking them questions that we feel really needs to be memorialized and really preserved for generations to come. Do you have anything to add to that?
Well, in piggybacking on what you were just talking about, there are many venues gone now that existed back when I was a teenager and, 20s, in my 20s, playing out live, that are, hotels, restaurants, just lots and lots of places that no longer exist, and a lot of folks are still around that played in those places, and there was a variety of music being played back then that does not really exist now. You have a lot of singer-songwriter, solo performers. You have rock and roll bands, country bands, things like that. But there's no place where you can go hear a total like variety dance band for 4 hours,
Or even real good jazz bands.
Yeah, there's hardly any jazz at all anymore.
And that was so much part of the scene, I think more likely in the 60s, right? 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
And if I could just pick up, we just watched the Lexington 250 documentary, and I don't know if you've had an opportunity to see that yet.
No, not yet.
To look at like what Lexington downtown looked like over the years, over 250 years, but more specifically in this era between 1950 and to the current day. It just really just ignited a spirit within us to really explore that more, because we're just like, oh, the Phoenix Hotel, like where was that? Because that was such a music epicenter, but yet where is it at right now? And it's occupied by some other, business. But that just really interests us. And I think at this point in our life, it's about preserving stories and making sure that they're there past the time that we're here on this earth.
Yeah, and we definitely need that. I feel like now people are so interested in history and documentaries. Like that's when I look at Netflix, like the number one trending things are always some type of documentary or biopic or something. So people are craving that. And there's a lot more people that are into the art scene, I feel like, here in Lexington now. A lot of people are into live music that are my age. Like it seems like most of the places that I go to, there's always a band there. They may not be there every day, but they're there at least 2 times a week, whether it's DJ playing or it's a band playing or, yeah.
It really builds a sense of community, when that dynamic is present in a city.
Absolutely, absolutely. So speaking of music, I know you all's mantra is working in concert, and that is the name of the episodes that the listeners are tuned into. And so that's about being aligned with each other in multiple facets. So the last time you all were on, you were talking about aligning in faith, marriage, work, and purpose moving together. So what feels most in alignment for you all in this season?
Man.
Do you want me to start and you want to build?
Yeah, go ahead.
I would just say the question is what feels most in alignment. And I will just say our marriage. And I will say we've had to work through. I'm just going to back up. It's been a really hard 5 years for us outside of the work that we do with music. And just difficult in ways that being a serious, and I called myself a serious career professional, before this time, because I was very much used to being in a corporate environment every day, getting up and getting on an airplane and going somewhere to do some public speaking. And just having all of that. And it's the realization the other day that that might not ever come back for me. And not just because of COVID, but because of a lot of the environmental conditions with AI and all of the different ways that my work has changed in the 5 years that I've been out of that work. So to have someone that I have partnered with in marriage and in life and in my career and in love has been more important to me than ever. Because when it really comes down to it, all we really need is each other. That's just the way I feel. I don't know what that is for you.
I would ditto that. Well, yeah, it becomes more and more about, waking up happy and going to sleep happy every day and doing what you want to do. And if you don't want to be somewhere doing something you don't want to do, don't do it, And so the older we get, I think it's easier to make those decisions and say no or not accept invitations or not just, if we want to stay home and watch whatever, on Netflix or just, we're big UK sports people, so we watch the girls volleyball, we watch the baseball team, we watch basketball, we watch football, and it used to be, let's go out and hear so-and-so and let's go here and let's go there. And now it's more like,
We've moved more inward than outward in our lives, and we're really great with that.
Yeah, I love hearing that. And I think every time, both times that you all have come on, I've just gotten so much from you all because I told you before, I aspire to be married at some point in time. And so just hearing some of these things, I think when you're younger, you put so much emphasis on other things, especially the external type of stuff. We got to go to these appearances and we've got to go to this wedding and we've got to do this and that. But really, it's just about the time that you spend with each other, I think is very beautiful and very powerful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. In our first episode together, you both talked about resets, career resets, financial resets, creative pivots, and even relational realignments. So looking ahead, where do you feel called to grow next, individually and together? I know in the last segment you talked about doing some oral history, but are there some other things outside of that you're planning to venture into?
Well, I'm looking forward to retirement and getting there, although we're both a couple of years away. And I think what's going to be most interesting is being in the career situation we're in right now, is that how are we going to work in concert together to figure out what that looks like for us when you're in that. I don't know if a lot of people experience this or not, but I think it's the dynamic of us being close to retirement when COVID hit, and it's probably the most inopportune time in one's life to have careers be basically destroyed by, decisions that had to be made. But it doesn't make it any less painful, right? I mean, it's for the greater good, but for you personally, it's painful. So what I think the next season is going to look like is how are we going to go into retirement together? And we're very focused right now on, and we're also very much aware that we've got a finite time realistically to be together and to be on this earth. So how are we going to make the best use of that time? And one things that we've talked about is that we want to make sure that each other does everything that they want to do before that time comes. So the goal and the task then becomes is how do we work in concert together to make that happen for each other, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're stealing all my good stuff.
Well, I'll let you go. I'll let you go first.
No. Yeah. Well, it just goes back to what I said. It's just trying to do what you want to do every day, and just, finding something that makes you happy.
Yeah. So are there any bucket list items? Like, are you planning on skydiving?
Oh, not that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have. For me, I don't have. I've lived a pretty great life, and so I have no regrets, and I don't really, I don't intend to go skydiving or rock climbing or, yeah. I think just, having somebody with you that makes you laugh and you have fun with, and you just look at each other when something stupid comes on TV and you don't even have to say anything. You just both bust out laughing because you both know what the other's thinking. That's, to me, that's what it's all about. And
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I mean, I will just add to that. We've gotten, also as a direct relationship to COVID onset, we've gotten very accustomed to binge watching. And, while most would feel like that's probably like a big waste of time, for us, it's not. And it is a time that I look forward to each and every day, that we're going to get everything we need to have done around the house and get through dinner, and that we're going to engage in something that we both really enjoy. But the fact that he is such a film buff and I am too, and that we've gotten to bucket list actually in Hollywood the last 4 years together, which was a bucket list item of mine before that happened. I always wanted to see the Hollywood sign, and I thought my life would be complete whenever that happened. And I will say it has been pretty complete since I got to that point. But that's something we really enjoy. And then it becomes like a big research exercise, because it's just like, oh, where is that? What show has that person been in? And then all of a sudden we're on Google and having this whole interactive experience with just watching a series or watching a documentary that we're really interested in. We enjoy history. We enjoy American history. We enjoy music history. And I will just say that the money that we do not spend, that we spent typically by going out every night, we're enjoying in like subscriptions with all of these streaming networks, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. That's really cool. So about how many hours a night do you spend binge watching?
It varies, but
we're professionals.
To give you an example, she had never seen the series Sons of Anarchy. And we started watching Sons of Anarchy, which I think has seven seasons. And I think we've gone through the first 3 seasons in about 4 nights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So we're halfway there almost.
And now we're really impatient with the series that have make you wait a week for the next episode to come on, because we're enjoying these series that have already come on and went, that we can just, thank goodness we don't have to wait 2 years to figure out what this next episode is.
And also, commercials are the bane of our household. We can't watch anything that has commercials.
We'd
rather DVR it and fast forward to the commercials than sit there and, So
behavior's changed quite a bit in the last 5 years.
So, yeah, when you think about it, I mean, these shows that are an hour on
they're
TV,
38 minutes.
are really 38, 40 minutes of actual, So you can watch a good season in a night if you
really wanted to.
Yeah. It's not that hard.
Yeah.
But it's gone even beyond like the story it's looking at film techniques, and it's looking, that's a really cool drone shot, or like, I wonder how they did that. And I think that's one thing when you become like, you're doing your own filmmaking and your own documentary making, that you become really interested in, that I don't think probably the typical person would look at and have an appreciation for that. Or even the writing. You really appreciate a well-written script.
Yeah.
Or a well-delivered speech, know?
Yeah. No, I totally get that. So when I was in undergrad studying broadcasting, electronic media, I was on the film track, and they said my freshman year, you will never look at film and TV the same after doing that. So I can totally relate, because after that, I'm looking like, oh yeah, I know what kind of shot they did here and how they edited that, or they didn't do any continuity shots right here. So yeah, I totally get that and understand. But have you all thought about making your own film production company, especially with Film Lex here in Lexington now and all the great things they have?
We have thought about it and talked about it. If we were in our 30s or 40s, maybe, there's a whole lot more road ahead when you're in your 30s and 40s than behind. And at this point, I don't know that we want to work that hard. I don't know that we want to learn that much. I don't know that we want to invest that much, monetarily, time-wise.
One thing I am interested in, I think we are both interested in, is that we have gotten, hours and hours of content collected over the last 10 years that we've been actually in a relationship together, but also with our oral history projects. We have about 7,000 videos on our Vimeo account. We have close to 200 on our YouTube account. So we have hours and hours of oral history that we have not made into short films like we typically do. So one of the things that we're always interested in is being able to hand this off to someone that really knows what they're doing with filmmaking, that could, potentially write a screenplay about one of these stories, or take all of this and synthesize it and make it to what a documentary should look like, or what a feature film should look like. One of my bucket list items, I will say, is to go to some kind of film school, and I'm hoping to do that with maybe the Donovan Scholars Program with UK, when you can go back as a retiree and take classes. That would be one thing I would really like to do, is to do that. And my other bucket list is to conduct an orchestra. So I really want to take conducting lessons at some point. That's high on my bucket list. And I don't need to be like an orchestra conductor full time, but I would love an opportunity to get into some kind of class where they teach us how to do that. And I'd like to do that just for one night. Lexington Philharmonic, preferably.
Okay, yeah, I was just about to ask, any orchestra, could it be community? Could it be a middle school? But okay, Lexington Philharmonic.
Yeah, I'm going big here.
All right.
Yeah, well,
and he laughs at me.
It'll probably happen,
It probably will.
Knowing her.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it would be going back to school and learning how to day trade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'd be just fine sitting in front of a computer watching stocks all day, watching,
And see, I have no interest in that. But this is what's great about us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you lost me there with that one. Sitting at the computer all day, looking at the numbers go up and down. But more power to you.
I could do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's played around a little bit, and he does pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. I hope that both of you all can make that happen. If you all could go back to school at the same time, and then you all coming back home and doing homework and then binge watching.
Well, I do enjoy, and one of my principles is lifelong learning, and that is something I definitely want to do, no matter what phase of life I'm in. My dad is he's 89, and he goes to the library every day, and he researches our family and does genealogy. And I'm not lying when I say every day am I. And he's collected books. Everybody in our family has a book, and this is the big joke. It's like, whose book's bigger than the other one, But he's just got shelves of binders that he has researched every single thing on all of our family over the last, I would say, 400 years. He's just amazing. But that's how he's keeping his mind sharp. Mm-hmm. Because it's every day it's reading, and it's also looking at microfiche, if you can believe this. He's not a big computer person. He's the one likes to go into the library and pull up the microfiche machine and just, put it around. So
yeah, that's really cool. Very, very cool. So you all both talked about moving from No to Can, because I think it was Nohio to Kentucky. And that was about choosing purpose over comfort. So as you look ahead, what cans are you planning to put in your 2026 pantry?
Oh, what a great question. Well, I know what mine is. What is yours?
I don't know what yours is.
I think I know. Mine is going to be related to what I think his will be. So, again, I'll go first if that's all right. And my can is to finish this book that he has been encouraging me daily, and that's what his can is.
Oh, and guess what the title is?
You Can Do It.
Working in Concert.
I should have known.
It's Working in Concert, orchestrating a life and career around purpose, harmony, alignment, and inner peace. And it has although it has a musical theme, but it's more of a personal development and business book. But we're going to talk about themes and variations, and we're going to talk about 6 ways to play it. So we're going to be playing it with feeling. We play it with purpose. We play it like we mean it. We play it with passion. So every chapter is going to have something around that.
So when will this book release?
Well, I've spoken this out loud on a TV interview yesterday, so I'm going to have to commit now, right? Mm-hmm. So The majority of it is done. I've just had a really hard time during this period of uncertainty and what I would call stress that I've had to manage through, but you got to do it. I'm just going to say spring 2026, we'll have it available.
Okay. So meteorological spring or actual spring?
Well, I hope to get it done before then. And like I said, I'm also in a speaking academy right now that's helping me kind of like get all of the details done, like the website. There's just so much more to writing a book these days than there were in the old days.
Yeah. I just, I know somebody, I helped them with marketing for their book. It was a compilation of stories. And so going through the publisher, but then also the marketing materials and doing the tours and doing all types of things because everybody's writing books these days.
Yes.
So, yeah.
It's a lot more than just writing a book. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So speaking of working in concert, how has that changed how you make decisions?
How is the book or the...
In general.
In general?
Yeah.
How
you
does
could say
working...
both. Yeah, working in concert, the book, and then working in concert, the action, changed how you make decisions about what's next.
Well, I think more so than ever before, we probably defer to each other and consult each other about decisions, especially major decisions, but even just little stuff, I don't know if that's just a byproduct of being married or being together so long. But that dynamic, it makes it nice because you're always wanting to please the other person, and make sure they're happy, right? So, if I want barbecue and she wants Chinese, we're probably going to have Chinese. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess that's that happy wife, happy life thing, right?
Well,
but
sometimes
I would
it
just
is. I don't
say-
really care that much most of the
I
time.
understand. Yeah.
And if I do care about something, you tend to go, okay. Right?
I would just say, and add on to that, is that our decision-making process is definitely different. But when he talks about deferring to one another, that usually involves, he has a more definitive way of making decisions in the fact that it's very quick, I think, at times. He has a clarity that I do not necessarily have. So my processing takes a lot longer, and I think sometimes we have to bridge that gap between, wanting to make a decision right away and then me needing to reflect on it. But I would say as a result, we meet in the middle on that. So it's not necessarily like really quick, but it's not necessarily really long. So we try to put it in the middle.
Yeah.
I what if way more than he does.
Yeah, I do know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know relatively quickly what I want to do, and I'm pretty confident about my choice, and I don't look back once I've made it. I don't regret it. I don't what if it, Now, do I make mistakes? Absolutely. So you learn from those, and if you're confronted with the same type of decision again or later on, you might think twice or something. But which I guess as I'm saying that, it makes me sound like I'm kind of rash, but that's really not the case. I just think I take less time to process, like she just said, and I'm okay with my decision, whatever it is.
I think that's as a result of my training with facilitating unconscious bias, and that I've taught so many people this process of pausing before you talk, reflecting, before you send that email out to reply, and most possibly reply all.
Yeah.
Because to me, I need to read that email, right, again before I make a decision on what I think the intention or the meaning was. So I think as a result of me basically being trained to do that, that's what creates that space between that non-rash decision, but definitive decision, and the one that would typically take me a little bit more time.
Yeah. And I appreciate you sharing that, because I'm more right now where Warren is, where it's not rash, but I'm just going to go ahead and do something. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on things. Like if I want to go, like, for example, I had a very busy semester. Going back to school and then teaching and all the different things. And so now I have this time and I'm like, I just want to do stuff. And so I'm like, I'm going to make a reservation here and go do this. And I'm going to go take a trip here and I'm going to go do this and that. Whereas when I was telling my friends, they were like, oh, well, we probably would have taken more time to think about that and thinking about money and then babysitting and all these other things. And so, so now, after you said that and making those decisions and making sure that we're not releasing any type of unconscious bias or conscious bias, I need to pause just a little bit, like maybe a second or two before making some of those decisions. So I definitely appreciate that, because I know sometimes I've said things or done things and I have to come back and like apologize for that or try to say, oh, I didn't mean it in that way. I meant it in this way. Yeah.
Well, one of the things that when we get into discussions about decision making, or someone maybe said something and we need to react to it, or we don't need to react to it, I always like to ask myself, what is the other possibility other than the one that is coming first and foremost to my mind right now? What else could possibly be true? And that we make sure that we jot that down, separate facts from opinion, and then make a decision.
Yeah, that's a really great exercise.
And he's looking at me and like,
yeah, I wish you all could see Warren's face. Yeah.
Well, I guess the summary of that is that meeting in the middle is the key, right? And that we're not just one-offing and just making our own decisions.
Well, and it's a temperance. We temper each other.
Yes.
I think that's the blessing of all this, is that, I speed her up and keep her from being a turtle when it comes to decision making, and she slows me down and keeps me from being a hyena or a whatever, And
you know what is the flip side of that, which I feel is more interesting, is that if I'm asked or tasked to do something, I will get it done as quick as possible and probably before you need it. So it's really interesting that I feel that is one of my responsibilities, is to respond quickly to something that is asked of me, right? But yet when I have to make a decision that doesn't involve someone else, that it's a much slower process.
Yeah. We were just talking about marriage, and Warren was just sharing that it's going to happen when you least expect it, but the friendship is the most important piece. So Warren, if you don't mind just sharing some more of what you were just saying.
You want me to cliff note?
Yes, please.
Well, I just think, there's a lot of pressure put on young people, to males and females, but in my day it was females, get married, have kids, raise a family,
By 25.
And so, invariably, I'm a firm believer in the fact that you don't ever know someone really unless you live with them. And a lot of people are against that, living with someone before you're married, having a relationship like that before you're married. I get that. I mean, I do. But I think that you just don't truly know somebody until they're sitting around in their underwear, or you're just comfortable in a setting where you know each other, and that takes time, So to me, the friendship part is what is going to be the lasting part, the most important part. Yes, there is attraction, physical attraction, intellectual attraction, all that other stuff. But the person that makes you laugh, the person that gets who you are, the person that's there when you're down, that's there, period, for you, that's what's going to last, when it's all said and done. So that's
the person you want to be with in your senior years as well.
Right.
Because typically that's your most challenging time with health issues and a lot of other stuff, the financial stress, everything. So you have to have someone that's going to be willing to go through those times with you as well, and not just totally panic or not totally get angry, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, and it takes time, not only to get to know someone, but to trust someone. You know, we're in a throwaway world. You know, people are disposable. They're disposable in their job. You know, there's very little value put on human existence anymore. You know, and it's a sad thing. People talk about each other terribly online. You know, say the most horrible things to people they don't even know. You know, there's a sense of kind of dignity and respect for each other that has been lost. And so you have to find that in that individual that you're going to spend the rest of your life with, you know, and it has to be constant. It can be nurtured and developed and it can grow, but it has to be there from the start, right? You have to feel that. You have to feel like, oh, this might be somebody that I could hang with, you know, and let my guard down with and trust, you know.
I want to say that, you know, and this seems cliche, but when our very early dating years, what I guess I gained the most respect, or I had the most respect for him, is watching how he treated servers or waiters, waitresses. And coming from a past marriage where that person did not treat people very well, just in the most, you know, non-significant things in life, or just people trying to do their job, that just to see him treat somebody with respect like that, that made me fall in love with him. And I've always said, if you want to know how somebody's going to be later in life, watch how they treat other people that don't matter to them at all or don't have any role played in their life at all, if that makes sense.
It's interesting you say that, because for me, I grew up with a father who did not treat people that way. He dismissed people right and left, and especially when they were in a service position, they weren't really people to him, you know. So I saw that and felt that from that person, you know, and many other things I don't want to go into, but that caused me not to want to be that way, you know. And I've been a server. I mean, I've been on the other side of it, you know. Yeah. So, yeah, I know how it feels, you know.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, kind of switching gears, so much of your work has been about creating space for others to be seen and heard. So, in this next season, how are you going to extend the same grace to yourselves?
I don't really have the desire to be seen and heard, honestly. I mean, the reason an executive producer is that they're in the background, you know, pulling the strings, or, you know, making things happen, or making sure things get done that need to get done, or whatever. But that's never been a goal for me. I mean, the awards are great. The recognition is nice. I think for us, it draws a higher talent level of musicianship to our show, you know. It makes for more interesting interviews. I mean, that to me is what it's more about, you know.
And I would just add, I think for me, and I think for Warren too, but I had a spouse of one of our guests that I didn't know the spouse very well. And it's always, I think it's a wonderful thing to really connect with these people's families, because that's when you really learn why somebody is as good as they are. It's usually the family support that they have behind them. But she made a comment recently when we brought this individual, it was Trey Bryant actually, down to Nash House to perform with two other people he'd never met. And these people magically, at the end of just being on stage for an hour, play this jam session. They've never played together. They picked a song, and it was like one of the best performances we've ever been able to showcase. However, his wife made a comment on, I think, Facebook, that Renee and Warren have this wonderful ability to connect artists with other beautiful people. And I think that's really how we want to go forward, is that, again, the awards are nice. I think, we've accomplished this and we've worked very hard for that, but we've also been seen and heard by panels of judges that have been able to assess our work. We didn't make that decision ourselves, right? So what that becomes is that when we're on that stage, people see us typically, and we get 25 to 30 emails the next morning for people that we've never met that want to work with us. So in a Team Kentucky Facebook group that we have for Josie Music Awards people, we have people outside of Kentucky, and we've built this beautiful network and support system for those artists that we really feel have really been supportive of us, and they want to support others. So what's been so wonderful is kind of taking our show out of Kentucky the last 3 years and meeting people that we never would have met before, and also connecting those people to people that they've never met before. And when we see them, all of a sudden they're going to do a show together. One's from North Carolina. We had Lee Newton from North Carolina and Andrew Moore from London, Kentucky. Andrew's doing a tornado relief, concert. And he brings Lee Newton, who's a wonderful artist out of North Carolina, but they've met through this support system that Warren and I've connected with. And to me, that is the ultimate. That's the seeds from the ground blooming up and shooting up 50 feet in the air.
Yes.
Through the concrete.
Through the concrete, of course.
Yes. I love how you all kept it on brand with Roseilience, but also just pulled everything back together. I love how selfless you all are, and how you just continue to build bridges and continue to be the bridge for so many in the music industry. So that's very beautiful.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And we are at the end of the show, but before we wrap up, we are going to do Pick It Apart. So that is going to be a rapid fire game, and I'm going to ask you questions based on some of the parts of a rose. And so you're just going to shoot off the first thing that comes to your mind, okay? So do you have an order? Do you want Renee to go first or Warren to go first? Okay.
Warren will go first.
Okay, so you'll both answer the question. All right, flower. Who would you like to give your flowers to, and why?
My mother, because she's getting on in life and having a rough time these days, and I think some flowers might brighten her day.
And I would say his mother and my parents as well. I just, I think one of the great things we do together is that we honor our families and our parents and the role that they've played in our lives. And his mother's 89, my dad's 89. And we've had this realization recently that they're just not probably going to be with us much longer, even though if they live to be 100, that'll be 10 years. And, that's not enough for us. So we want to give those flowers to them while they're living.
Yeah, thank you. STEM, where does your drive stem from?
For me, I have to take it all the way back to my experiences in college. Our mutual professor and her demanding excellence, and settling for nothing less, and always making you feel like, as talented as you may be and as much as you want it, there's always more that you can obtain, and more, you're never going to reach perfection, and just to put in the time and the work to hone your craft, whatever that is, Yeah.
Mine would be my music teachers from age 9. I started taking piano lessons, and that stems through my high school choir director, my college professor that I shared experience with Warren. And that developed a sense of achievement in me, because when you're in piano lessons, you're always competing in contests. You're always going to, programs with your choirs where they're assessed and they're ranked. And that's a result of a lot of different people working together on the same goal. And that's why I think I still have a lot of that, is because that's the way I was brought up. It's a sense of achievement and that you aspire constantly.
Yeah. Well, Thorn, what hurts right now?
My body. Yeah. still dealing with some aftermaths from the accident. But yeah, other than that, things are pretty good.
For me, what hurts is not having a job and also feeling like I have to separate my identity from what I do. And I've got to do that, and I know it, but it hurts right now.
Yeah. Bud, who is your best bud and why?
Well, this one over here sitting next to me. My little blonde girl. Why? Just because of who she is. You know, who and how.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just echo that. My best buddy is Warren, and I will just say, because I just think we're the two peas in a pod, just like Forrest said to Jenny on the school bus. But it's true, and it's just so wonderful to experience love late in life. You know, we reconnected. You know, I was 52 and he's 53, and we're now in our 10th year, you know, together. And I'm just so thankful to God that he's given me another chance and given Warren another chance to really experience life in this way.
Yeah. Leaves. What do you need to leave alone?
To leave alone? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Or leave behind.
Leave behind. Pass. I don't know.
Well, I think mine would be, I need to leave stress behind. Even in those moments where I just I just react without thinking. Mm-hmm. And it's always related to stress. And I'm really tired of waking up every morning and worrying about things. So he doesn't do that as much. So I would say he's left that behind, and he's also made a conscientious decision to do that a lot earlier than I did.
Yeah. And then root. What keeps you rooted?
I think a faith, first and foremost. Faith in God. Yeah. And just believing that whatever happens, we're going to get through it together, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and mine is also faith in God.
Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for sharing that. That was the end of Pick It Apart. And
I'm not very good at that game.
I like this segment, though. It's fantastic.
Thank you. So we're at the end of our time, but before we go, is there a way that people can connect with you? Is there a final thought that you would like to leave the audience? Is there anything that you'd like to ask of the listeners?
No, I think everybody should just tune into the show every time it's on, because it's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, exactly. I feel like we have a great website, www.overtones.com. I do have a thought. Overtoneslive.com. Thank you, honey. I do have a thought that I like to leave with people, and it's the old saying that says we watch our thoughts because our thoughts become words. We watch our words because our words become actions. We watch our actions because our actions become our destiny. And our destiny becomes who we are. So that's a direct connection to our thoughts, to our destiny. And I'm glad that we've been destined to be here with you today.
Yes, thank you so much. And I really appreciate when you all come on and just impart all of your wisdom and just sharing this remarkable journey that you all are on working in concert. So I appreciate you all being a part of the inaugural season of Roseilience and giving your petals of wisdom. And listeners, I also want to thank you all for tuning in. From struggle to strength, from obstacle to opportunity, real stories, real struggle, real growth, just like the rose that grew from concrete. Keep the Roseilience. Thank you, Renee and Warren.
Thank you.